Well, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm busy. Honestly, maybe or like mostly with work stuff, but this has been a fun added part of my busy schedule too. So
Like
I've
when
been
work
good.
stuff, you mean your real job,
My real job.
which is educational sales.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And have you started diving into the social media world of stuff?
A little bit. Like I do feel like I kind of went from posting like twice a year for my friends and family to now being like, okay, if I want to actually dive into that, I probably need to post more than biannually. So I've been trying to, but then it's just kind of like setting aside certain times of my day to do that and then making sure I'm not doing that during like I just need to really like block off my calendar.
Oh wow. Okay, you're a busy gal. I actually love first of all you updated your bio on Instagram to I cry and say like a lot, which I didn't even like. Well, I say like a lot too. So I'm not the girl. I'm not the girl to come for you for the likes. But people came for you for the likes?
I mean, I feel like we're all our own worst
Mm.
critics. Like I noticed it more than anyone. And even before watching the episodes, I remember asking production, like, do you guys have me crying in every scene? Because I did cry a lot. Like I had so many tears of frustration throughout that entire thing, which you see, and there's even moments
Yeah.
where they probably didn't even include some other crying times. So I think it was more to like I was being a little more harsh on myself, but people have commented on me saying like a lot. I say a lot. I say yeah a lot. I'm a really active listener, apparently.
Well, the tears or like the tears that you had were so like made me feel so much when watching you because they weren't the streaming tears most of the time. They were the I'm going to try so hard to not cry,
Mhm.
but your eyes just welled up and were like sparkly all the time. Like you were having conversations and I just felt you in those moments because it was like I know those tears where you're trying not to, which if I was you, my lips would start going like I wouldn't it wouldn't just be the eyes. I'd be like like I'd start looking at too. So for you that didn't happen, but yeah, I think frustration seems to be the right word because like can you try to describe what you were feeling in those moments where we did see you your eyes welling up? Like was frustration the main word? Like what else was going on?
Yeah, I just felt like so, I don't even know if misunderstood is a better
Yeah.
word, but like I felt like I wasn't being listened to. And I felt like I was trying to get my point across in so many different ways and trying to explain the same thing like multiple times in order to get into his head to try to figure out what the fuck was going on. And so it was just moments of like I've never felt so unheard before. And I'd never felt like so bad at communicating before. Like I think I was more just being hard on myself. Like, am I not doing this right? Am I not explaining things in a way that makes sense? Am I wrong? I don't know. I was so in my head and like not being able to come to a resolution was so frustrating. And so I think
Yeah.
that's where
You
so many
wanted, yeah, you wanted a Salulu. Like, you wanted to have a conversation, get to a point, have the sister fucking want to meet you, have the friends listen, and every conversation ended with just no resolution, which I'm sure, like you said, that frustrating is. But let's back up. Let's back up.
yeah.
Okay. How did you, Lauren from Minneapolis, get on the show from the get?
Yeah, I mean, so I've been a fan of the show for years. Like I've literally watched every season. I've been obsessed. I'm just like a big reality TV fan to begin with.
Mm.
But it was one of those things that like it was very, I personally never would have saw myself in that position, but the beauty of this show is that it is by city. So it literally just came up in they do these casting calls like on Instagram. And so it was like casting call for probably three or four different cities and one of them is Minneapolis. And I was like kind of fresh off of a breakup at the time. It was one of those things that I don't know, I was kind of like a known single friend, and it came up at multiple brunch tables like over the course of a month or so. And I kind of applied, not like as a joke, but just like truly not thinking anything would ever come from this because it just felt so like distant. And I didn't hear from them for like 6 months. And so I remember a few months after I applied, I was like, oh, I probably didn't get picked, didn't even get a call back. And then 6 months later, they had texted and it kind of just started the conversation. And I don't know, one of those things that it just kept kind of moving along to the next step. And there were little times where I had to stop and be like, okay, do I actually want to pursue this? Is this actually something that I could see myself doing? But it almost got to a point that it was like, okay, it's in the universe's hands now.
Right.
I'm going to let them decide if I should be doing this or not. And so it got to the very end. Like, I mean, a week and a half before, I remember they called and they were like, you're an alternate. We're still not really sure. And I'm trying to make decisions with like my company and like my boss was so amazingly flexible about it, thank God. But yeah, it just kind of got to a point that I was like, I'm gonna let the universe take this one from here.
So then an alternate means somebody else was in the running, and then if they didn't want to, it would be you?
I think so, but I think it was more layered than that. Like I think
Mm.
that they did a lot of work to make sure that there wasn't crossover with the guys and the girls. And so it could be also that like maybe there was a guy on the other end that I knew and they were waiting for him to say yes or no. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of different layers to it, but the basically gist of it is they were kind of waiting to see if there was a spot for me or not.
So how long in advance did you get the final yes?
6 days. Like I flew out on a Sunday and I found out that Monday before. So I was scrambling.
Wait, where did you fly to? Was it not filmed in Minneapolis?
No, so the pods part is all in California. It's at their stage out there. And then you
Uh,
do Honduras or like whatever your getaway is. We did Honduras for a week and then we come back to
and then you come
Minneapolis.
back. So you said a what to a Monday? When did you find out?
So I flew out on a Sunday. I found out the Monday before. So yeah, like 6 days.
Oh my God. So you come to your boss and you're like, I might go on this reality TV show. Did your boss know about the show? Like, that's such an awkward convo, no?
No, I thankfully like my boss is amazing and she also like lives in California and she has a daughter around my age too. So she kind of got it. And I remember when I first brought it to her, I was worried about just like coming off as unprofessional. I had just
Right.
started this position and she was just so like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. She's like, we love love. Like
Oh,
she was excited for me in the best way. And so yeah, it did get to a point that she was like, you are going to need to give me not a 2 day heads up. And I was like, very valid, very fair. So I was able to give her a week. And then, I was able to work with people on my team too to figure out how that's going to be covered because I'm sequestered for like 3 weeks as part of that. So I couldn't communicate with any of them.
wow.
But yeah, she was amazing.
So you get to the pods. Were you excited? Like, what were you feeling? Did you think, like, when, as a watcher of the show and an avid fan of the show, were you like, people found love? Like, we do have some couples that are still together. Like, did you see the opportunity there to really find someone?
Did and I was like excited about it, but I also have known like in previous relationships, it takes me a while to fully get like emotionally invested in someone. And so I was excited to see what this would look like, but I wasn't 100% convinced I would be able to emotionally get there with someone else. Like that really was truly one of the most shocking things about this whole experience when I look back is that I was in a position by the time we got to engagement day that I was like, I want to get engaged to this person. Like I kind of surprised myself that that's how easily I fell into things.
Was there anybody else that was your top aside from Dave?
Yeah, I was talking to actually, it's so funny, Mason up until almost the end, which I had no idea that Megan Madison, like I could tell that he was making other connections and like I was making other connections, but I had no idea that that was what was happening behind the other pods. And then Scott, who was another person, he wasn't shown a ton, but those were kind of like my three people toward the end.
Do you have any regrets, like not moving forward with like Mason or the Scott guy?
I mean, I don't know. It's so hard. Like I did get a little hard on myself after things ended to be like, I don't know, I chose the wrong person or I chose the person that wasn't ready to be with me or all of these things. But I think looking back, like I was just making the best decision I could make at the time. And there were a lot of great qualities about Dave that I really like fell in love with in the pods and then kind of continued that in Honduras. I wouldn't say I like regret making that choice, but I don't know. Hindsight's always 2020 to be like, okay, if I would have leaned into other areas, other guys, what would this have looked like?
I heard somebody say something very true about the red flag situation, right? Like we use that word so much now, and we're like, and usually it's used like red flag or how didn't she see the red flags or like, or I now the red flags are clear. Somebody said something that really like struck a chord with me, which was like this whole discourse about the red flag really puts like the burden on the other person,
Hmm.
like on you in this situation,
Totally.
right? Which you said you beat yourself up anyway. But it really does. It's like all the red flags were there, Lauren, Like, but or any person that's said to in hindsight with a breakup or
Right.
celebs that we delve into their breakups and it's like the red flags were there, and I really agreed with whoever said this. Like it's so just like, piling on the other person and putting the responsibility on them to have this whole other person's issues figured out, know that it would like turn into not someone who's good at a relationship. But speaking of not doing that, were there any red flags in the
Well,
pods?
okay, and first of all, like I totally agree with that. And I was literally just having a conversation with my mom about this because so many people are quick online and even in person to call out the fact that I didn't see red flags. And my mom was like, okay, when I met your dad, he probably had some red flags. Like there were things that he was working through. Like we're not perfect people when we enter into a relationship. And there's things that were probably concerning about me too. And so, yes, there's definitely an element of maybe I overlooked some things, but also at the same time, I saw a lot of potential and I wasn't willing to just completely say no to that because of a couple things. I would say I really didn't see red flags until we were back in Minneapolis and his behavior kind of shifted a little bit and he started to really, I don't know, not be on my team and not hear me out. I think that that was the biggest thing that I noticed that I let go a little bit longer. But then
Wait,
again, looking,
Lauren, back up.
yeah.
Talking about you peeing like to everyone and everything wasn't like not red flag. Like let's throw
Uh-huh.
that word out.
Yeah.
Annoying? Like annoying to mention how fucking much you pee?
Yeah, I didn't know he was mentioning that, everyone, until I watched it back. It is a conversation that we like Dave and I were talking a lot about our sleep schedules. I don't know why that was like a topic of conversation we were like coming back to, but it was I haven't shared a bed with someone in so long and like he hadn't either. And so we were just like kind of
How
joking
much are
about
you
that.
peeing, if I can ask, that it's
Okay,
like
and I will
aggressive for
say
him?
I
Okay.
think my anxiety was also like I was just not sleeping at all. So it's not even like, oh my God, I was getting up because I needed to like pee 5 times a night. It was like I couldn't sleep. I was anxious. Maybe needed to take another dose of melatonin. I was just dicking around, you know? But probably the first night, I think I got up 5 times.
And he felt it. He's probably a light sleeper.
He is, but he was also snoring, which was like part of. I remember when we went to bed that night, I was like, "Are you a snorer?" And he's like, "No." And then we woke up, and I was like, "You lied to me. Like, you also kept me up all night." So it's not all on me.
Right. I mean, it's not at all on you. Like, if you need to be, you need to be. I have to be right now. I have to be all the time. We're girls. Like,
I,
this is
I
the
drink like
thing.
5 of these a
Like,
day.
excuse me,
So
how are we not peeing? I don't understand. I know men really don't get the peeing thing. Like, my husband has made remarks like for leaving somewhere, and I'm like, gotta pee. Like, always
yeah,
have to pee a second before. But yeah. But as a viewer, I will say it was weird. Like the emphasis on it,
yeah.
talking to you about, talking to everybody, and then there was another thing in Honduras that the emphasis was weird, which was the sex stuff
Hmm.
that he wanted to talk to everybody about, know where everybody else stood, which is like kind of immature, you know?
Yeah, and I think too that that is a conversation that was like we were encouraged to have. I think a lot of the other people had the maybe maturity or like how do I say this? I don't know, awareness to say, oh, I'm not going to put people on blast like that. I think he just was like, oh, we're supposed to talk about this. So I'm gonna pry a little bit.
Mm,
Um, also a conversation I didn't realize was fully happening in the way that it was happening until I
yeah.
watched it back.
But was that important to him? Like, did he really want to get there? Like the intimacy level?
I mean, we had talked about it together too. It's not like we weren't having those conversations. And it was kind of important to both of us, I would say. It was, I mean, the whole point of that trip is to figure out if you are like connecting physically in the way that you connected emotionally in the pods.
Right.
So we were
And
talking about it.
did you feel like you were connecting physically with him?
Yeah, I did. I mean, when by the time we left Honduras, I was like, I am closer with this person emotionally and physically than I've had with like any guy that I had dated. I don't know, like the way the experiment is set up too, I you can get there. And I was kind of surprised by that part.
Did you get there with him?
Yeah.
Did he tell people or did he stop the conversation once like it happened?
I mean, you see him honestly, so we were like kind of encouraged to have those conversations in the getaways. I feel like it wasn't as much of a topic when we came back to Minneapolis, just
I
because like
see.
there was so much other shit that we were tackling at that
Right.
point. I mean, he does answer. I think he is talking to Molly, and Molly's like, "When was the last time you hooked up?" And
Oh,
Dave's like, "Well, Lauren and I have." And
right.
I want to be like, "That's not really what she meant when she was asking that."
Oh, I mean,
But
yeah,
thanks
I
for
was
putting
gonna
that
say
out
he's a
there.
little like, there's who made a joke like that, like Amy Schumer, and I'm by no means saying Dave is neurodivergent, but Amy Schumer has a joke that's really funny because her husband is on the spectrum, and she talks about a lot in her comedy, and she makes a joke like, is he a man or is he on the spectrum? So
The spectrum somewhere, aren't we? I would assume.
yeah, right, right.
That's so funny.
You guys, just stop right there. Stop paying crazy high wireless bills, bogus fees, and getting tricked into these like free perks that actually end up costing more in the long run. Okay. Keep your money where you can see it. Be smart. Get a good wireless plan and switch to Mint Mobile. You could literally be saving so much, you guys. So it's time. It's time to say goodbye. Don't stay with the big ones just so you can say like I'm with blah blah blah. I'm with, like don't be like the rest of the people. Like be smart and say I'm actually paying $15 a month. Wouldn't that feel cooler to save? So Mint Mobile is here to rescue you, you guys. Premium wireless plans with them start at $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text, and those are delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number and your existing contacts. Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium wireless service from Mint Mobile for only $15 a month. If you like your money, Mint Mobile is for you. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/notskinny. That's mintmobile.com/notskinny. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 month 5 GB plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Let's talk about real food for a hot minute. We all know we should be eating real whole foods. You got to read labels and try to avoid sketchy ingredients. That's why we love Primal Kitchen condiments. They nailed the perfect combo of high quality ingredients and delicious flavor. So your meal will taste as real and homemade as it gets. I really am obsessed with Primal Kitchen condiments, their sauces, their dressings, their mayo, their ketchup, all of it. I'm right now so into their original buffalo sauce. I've been making these perfect jammy eggs, and then I Primal Kitchen original buffalo sauce drizzle on top of heavy drizzle, if you will. I also love their ranch dressing. It's so good. It's no dairy in the ranch dressing, no seed oils in any of their stuff. So you know that you're eating real well. So if you're all about real food, but you need a little help making it exciting, you need Primal Kitchen condiments and sauces made with real ingredients we love. They're your secret weapon for making easy dinners of just protein and veggies taste amazing. Head to primalkitchen.com/notskinnypodcast and you can save 20% off your next online order with code NOTSKINNY at checkout. So you go to Primal Kitchen, PRIMAL kitchen.com/notskinnypodcast, and code is NOTSKINNY And you'll get that 20% off. Primal Kitchen products are also available in stores nationwide. So visit primalkitchen.com/notskinnypodcast to find a location near you. Back to the red flags, non-red flags. The sister stuff, which I know you probably are sick of, like, but like to a viewer, like if this wasn't like edited in post, superimposed, he talked about his sister a ton.
Yeah.
So in the pods, did you feel it? Did you have like a thought about it? Like, what was the vibe?
So in the pods, I do remember that coming up pretty quickly in the beginning about like my sister's worried about me being here. My sister was worried about this experiment, wasn't sure if this was like the best thing for me. But then we kind of like talked about that in the beginning and then kind of continued to further our relationship. And I remember by the time we got to proposal day, he had brought up the fact that he was like, I don't know why I'm worried about my sister with you. Like, you're so lovable. She's going to love you. You guys just need to meet, and that kind of will take care of any of that anxiety that she has. And so by the time we got there, it really did feel like, okay, yes, this was something that was in the back of his head in the beginning of this experiment. But at this point, we've built this connection that it's not going to like derail anything from here. Like, if anything, us meeting and kind of furthering along this process is just going to make us stronger and better.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen.
Wait, aside though from him sharing with you that his sister was worried, did he talk about her a lot in general? Where it seemed like a bit too much, or no?
Not in the pods, I would say. And like we talked about family a ton. I mean, I actually talked a ton about my older brother and sister-in-law, and like they are just a relationship that I look up to so much and would love to replicate in a romantic partner. And so like those conversations were coming up a ton. And then he would respond to something along the lines of his sister too. But like at the time, it did not feel in the pods, it did not feel excessive.
Do you know who his sister is? Because like we don't.
I know of her, but I've never met her. I've never talked to her.
So let's delve into that for a second. What the fuck happened for real? How did he get this information? What was your actual story with this dude?
Mm-hmm.
Like, tell us more about that.
Okay. My God, such a loaded question. I could answer that question for like 2 hours. Okay. So I had known this guy. We had talked for like a few months before filming. And as soon as like, or no, yeah, as soon as casting started, I had told this guy, like, hey, I know we've like went on a date at this point, but I'm starting casting conversations with Love is Blind and I kind of want to pursue that. And I honestly expected him to be like, okay, then let's not continue talking or anything like that. But he was like very chill about it and was like, no problem. We don't need to be serious about this anyways. So that's kind of how we went about things the next couple of months. And then didn't think a ton of it. I remember too thinking like going on this experiment is almost a nice excuse to end things with this other guy. Like it was like, okay, sorry, I'm no longer available, and so I'm gonna leave from here.
Because you weren't that into him?
Yeah, I just knew that it wasn't someone like if he's someone that I genuinely wanted
You wouldn't
to,
go on the show.
exactly. Like I wanted to meet, I'm so ready to meet my person and like go through this next kind of stage of life. And if he was someone that I thought had the potential of that, I wouldn't have risked that to go.
But you didn't.
On
You
a
were
TV show.
you were sure about that he wasn't your person.
Yeah.
But it was like cool to hang out and like pass the
Yeah.
time.
And I remember thinking like he was on the same page with that too. And I was like, I kind of respected that. We had conversations about like hinge dates he was going on, or I knew that he was kind of moving in a very single way as well, which I was like, I get, obviously I'm about to go on a TV show where I'm very single. So very fair. Didn't really think much of it. When we are in the getaways, Dave made a comment off camera. I think we were talking about previous relationships. He's like, were you dating someone before? And I was like, no, my last boyfriend was like over a year and a half ago. But I was like, and then he was like, were you hooking up with someone before? And I was like, yeah. How do you know that? And he's like, is his name so and so? And name dropped him. And I was like, how do you know that? Such a random small world connection. And he's like, I had heard from like a friend of a friend that there was a girl coming on the show who has a
Wait.
boyfriend.
So this isn't, you guys don't have phones, so this isn't real-time information. This
This was
is
he had heard before leaving for the pods.
that there was a
Heads up.
girl that came in with a boyfriend.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And when he first said that, like my first thought was, oh my God, I wonder what girl came in with a boyfriend. Like I'm kind of like racking my brain to be like, who could he be talking about? Not realizing that he's like kind of accusing me of that in the quick moment. And so I was like, no, not me, if that's what you're referring to. And I kind of like spelled out the timeline of things with him. And he was like, yeah, I don't love that that's like a random connection that we have, but it's fine. Like we were all single. I remember him also being pretty chill about it in that first conversation off camera. He was like, we were all single going into this. And then the next day, we're doing this boat excursion, which is when we go on that little like scuba diving thing where you're like on a little scooter. Anyways, we're sitting on the boat and he talks about coming back and we're on camera and he's like, yeah, I'm like really not excited to go back. And, we have this connection now with this other guy. And I just remember thinking, like, I really didn't even think that this would ever be a topic of conversation we would come back to after that initial chat we had the night before. And so I just like didn't really love that it was brought up immediately on camera like that. And
Oh, because
then,
the first conversation was off camera.
right,
Got you. So he didn't
right.
like even prepare you, like, by the way, I'm going to talk about this or anything.
No,
But
no.
when you say connection, what does connection mean? Like, how close is his connection, or is it just like a rumor mill? Like, what's
They
the
have like, yeah, they have like one mutual friend in Minneapolis. I think that there's probably some other people but there's like one guy that's kind of like good friends with him and then good friends with Dave.
okay? So
Um,
random that he would like know, like. But did you get to the bottom of why it was said that you had a boyfriend? Why it
no,
was said that it was a boyfriend? Like, who would? No, we don't know. Did you
no.
ever talk to the guy and say, were you saying that we were boyfriend girlfriend?
So he's come out since and been like, no, like Lauren and I were casual. Like, I don't like even to this day. And yeah. And we did have a conversation like,
Even to this day, what, Lauren?
what?
Even to this day, what?
Like, even to this day, like on his social media, he's like, no, Lauren and I were casual.
Oh,
He's
people
also,
found him? I guess I didn't sleuth enough.
no,
Oh,
don't, please don't. It's like he is really trying to lean into this. And
oh,
it's
he
not
is?
good.
Oh,
It's not a good look
gross.
for
Red
him or for
flag, red
me.
flag.
I know. Guys,
Wait,
I need a much better picker than what I have.
wait,
And I'm
he's
learning that.
trying to like get interviews or something? Like as Lauren's hookup before the
Correct.
show?
Correct.
Oh, yucky. Did he
It's
make a
really,
TikTok? Did he
oh
like
yeah.
have a
He's
green screen? The whole thing.
all over the socials. He's really leaning in.
But I guess it's not working for him because I feel like it's not
Right.
getting as much traction as he might have thought, you
Right.
know?
Right. So
Especially
let's
because,
keep it that way.
but it sounds like he's not being an asshole where he's trying to maybe say other things and say you were lying. He is still saying that you are on the same page. At least
Right.
that. At least that.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Exactly. We'll give him credit for that.
We'll give him credit for that, but gross. Yeah. So
But yeah,
he knew and then okay, and then he brought it up to you on camera and all of a sudden you're realizing, wait, this is really affecting him. Slash he doesn't believe you.
right. Right. And then things get like the worst when we are in the airport in Honduras. They're giving us our phones back. I'm so excited to like text my girlfriend's group chat, call my parents, all of that stuff. And his group chat is just like absolutely exploding. And I didn't find this out until later, but apparently that's when like all of his buddies were in their group chat being like, you just got engaged to someone with a boyfriend. And he immediately was like, what the fuck have I done? So that's kind of how things went downhill from there. And like, I really do, if I'm looking back, I do think in that moment, he was like, I'm out of this. I'm not
The
gonna
ego.
like go against my guy friends.
It's the ego. It's the
Uh-huh.
inflated. Even if he believed you, which like the moments like it did look like he believed you.
Hmm.
And he knows like even if you fucking were with this guy, you're not now. So like what does it matter? But he, and as with a lot of men, have the ego of like a fucking like country, the size of a country, and they can't. It's like I cannot. It's like I cannot. I cannot because this is more important for people to not think that I'm a loser for. But you're this girl that he picked, that he got engaged to behind a wall, all this shit, and you're looking at him with your welled up eyes and saying, I'm telling you the truth.
Hmm.
This was nothing. And he's saying what? Like, I believe you. I can't believe you. Like, what?
He just kept being like, I just don't understand the timeline. I just can't get past the timeline. And like, I think at the time, I thought he meant like the timeline of me and this other guy. And so that's why I kept being like, what else do you want from me? Like, how clear can I be about this?
Which
I
what,
think looking,
Lauren, which was what? Like, you had seen him the week before the show. That's what
yeah,
really bothered him.
yeah,
Like, your
yeah.
last time seeing the guy was like before you left, basically.
Before I even knew that I was officially on it, too. Like, I didn't, like, we had hooked up before. And then, like, a few days after I got the call that I was officially on it from there. Not that that even matters, right? Like, that's semantics at this point.
Yeah.
But I think looking back, he meant the timeline of like, we're supposed to get married in 2 weeks, and he can't work through this in 2 weeks. He can't decide if he's going to marry someone while listening to his like college buddies over his fiance. And like, I think that's the timeline that he was really struggling with the most.
Okay. And the sister. Like, it was the buddies and the sister.
Yeah.
Maybe the buddies and the sister are friends.
I think they might have been talking. Honestly, I was really, as you saw, like in the dark and all of that. I didn't know what conversations were happening. I just knew that every time, like almost every day, he would come with new false information or a
Like
new,
what? Like, what could have changed? Like, what kind of stuff?
like even things being like, well, I heard that you guys spent the night together the night before. And I'm like, I didn't spend the night with him once the entire time that I was even talking to this guy. Like,
Oh
well,
my.
I heard you like just like random little shit like that I'm like, I don't know where you're getting this from. And that's why I kept being like, can we go to the source? Like, I don't understand why I'm having to speak through, I'm having to play a game of telephone with you right now, and you're not even letting me get to the source on things. So that was frustrating.
And if you got the opportunity to talk to the boys and his sister, like, what, you would have sat there and again said, "I hooked up with this guy." Like, that's what you were planning on doing, on giving the timeline?
I would have given the timeline and been like, what more information do you need? And also, like, what I kept saying to Dave is, I'm like, I'm picking you in this. Like, I don't understand. This guy doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're the person that I want to be with. And whether that's an engagement or a marriage or a relationship, like, I'm picking you. And
And
even
this was
that was
before I
like,
even knew you. Like, this was
yeah,
before I knew you. That's where it's like the ego, because like nothing else should be bothering you about this aside from your bruised ego, which is like, did he seem like a jealous or possessive guy in general? Like, did he want to hear about your past relationships? Is that something that like triggered him?
I don't think that I got like past relationship jealousy. I do think that an ego was part of it. I think he's going to have to like defend this girl over his buddies, and he wasn't maturity wise prepared to do that. Like, that was just too much for him. I think that was the biggest factor in all of it, is him having to like make some big kid decisions about this person that he just got engaged to in front of his friends and family. And that's hard to do.
And sister.
Yeah, exactly.
So at that point, when he's bringing up your sister a lot, his sister a lot, you said in the pods you didn't feel it. Did you start to feel it then, that like, whoa, this sister seems to be kind of either controlling his life, or, by the way, a lot of the audience thinks, which I don't know if that's my personal opinion. Some people thought that he was like kind of using her as a scapegoat, and that, like, and people are making fun, like, does a sister exist, blah, blah, blah. But like, did you feel in those moments like, whoa, or were you thinking, is he using this as an excuse to get out? Like, what were you thinking?
I definitely, and I did say that to him at one point, like, if you need an out, this is a really good out to use because it's really dumb, but it's something that you can be able to like pinpoint and say, like, this is the reason. I think I noticed it too when it's not even, we're all from the Midwest. There were a lot of families that were having a tough time with the cameras part of it. And I
Right.
even had like family and friends be like, we want to meet the guy, we want to get to know him, but cameras are intimidating. And so that part wasn't even the thing that bothered me, but I wasn't even having a phone call. Like, he wouldn't call her if I was in the room, or he wouldn't put us on speaker. And I was even doing that with my people. Like, my older brother was like, I don't really want to film, but can I call you later? Will you put us on speaker? I'd love to talk to Dave. And like, it started to be a red flag when none of that was even happening. on his end. And again, I don't think that that is on his sister. I think that Dave is the one in this relationship. Dave is the one who made this commitment and got engaged. And so he should be the one to say to his family, like, you're either in or you're out, but like, this is my relationship, and kind of do the work to bring us together. And he wasn't doing that.
You guys know that I have an issue with cooking. I'm honest about it. I don't pretend. You'll never see me make a freaking meal, film it, and show you how to cook it. Like, I'm sorry. What I will film, show you how to cook and show you that I did, is something that came as a meal kit. Users of leading meal kits have rated Home Chef number one in quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipe ease. Home Chef knows the struggle is real and delivers fresh, delicious meal kits that respect your time. I always love the 30-minute ones. So streamline your dinner time with Home Chef. And also, doesn't break the bank. Guess what does? Dining out all the time. And you guys, they have classic meal kits with pre-portioned ingredients, quick 30-minute recipes, oven-ready options, microwave meals, or a dedicated family menu. Home Chef has everything you and your family need for hassle-free, delicious dinners. And let me tell you, when I have Home Chef, husband's all over that ish. He's like, this is so good. I'm like, you're welcome. You have Martha Stewart in the kitchen. For a limited time, Home Chef is offering you guys 18 free meals, 18 plus free dessert for life. And of course, free shipping on your first box. So go to homechef.com/notskinny. That's homechef.com/notskinny for 18 free meals and free dessert for life. Homechef.com/notskinny. Must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert. This episode is supported by FX's Dying for Sex, a new show starring Michelle Williams and Jenny Slate. Oh my God, I love them both so much. Inspired by a true story, this series follows Molly, who, after receiving a terminal cancer diagnosis, decides to leave her husband to explore the full breadth of her sexual desires. Love that. She gets the courage and support to go on the sex quest from her best friend, Nikki, who stays by her side through it all. FX's Dying for Sex, all episodes streaming April 4th on Hulu. I don't even think I need to be telling you this, but I will tell you again. I will tell you again to get Quince items, because really, like, I shop at Quince so often and I just love it. It feels like I'm treating myself without, breaking the bank. And they have the best vacation edits. Like, they just have high quality travel essentials at fair prices, including like the suitcase you need to get there that will look exactly like those overpriced suitcases you see your favorite influencers with. They also have lightweight European linen styles from like $30. They have washable silk tops and comfy lounge sets. I literally got my bed from Quince, okay? By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to you. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. So I'm going to treat myself without breaking the bank, because I do have some upcoming travel plans during spring break like the rest of the world, okay? And Quince just has the best first quality suitcase at an economy price tag that will just upgrade your next trip. So for your next trip, treat yourself to the luxe upgrades you deserve from Quince. Go to quince.com/notskinny for 365-day returns plus free shipping on your order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/notskinny to get free shipping and 365-day returns as a full year. Quince.com/notskinny. So all these scenes that you're filming, talking about it, what's happening in the off hours? Like, are you good? Are you going about your day hanging out, eating lunch? Or like, is it always the topic?
No, like, that's the thing. We were good. And like, that really was only a topic that was brought up when like cameras were rolling and we needed to talk about our relationship. Otherwise, we were both working remotely, so we're kind of in and out. We had a couple nights where we weren't filming, so we like got drinks and like hung out either with us or even with just the other couples. It really felt like a very normal relationship outside of when cameras would roll and we would talk about all
So
of this
then
other
he
shit.
just started talking about it, and then it would take him it's such a bizarre situation, I feel like, you know? Okay,
Mhm.
so in this though, he's not able to get over it. How didn't you get to a point of like, if you can't get over this, like I'm walking. Like you did actually get like it gets to that point, but it was kind of more him being done. But like
Yeah.
were you ever thinking like I'm not having this conversation again. I'm not explaining myself again. This is ridiculous. I'm out.
Yeah, and I actually say that. I wish they showed me saying this too, but when we were at the cycling studio, that was like the first
With your
time it was
friends.
really, yes, yeah.
That was crazy. That was
They
crazy.
did such a good job on that. Like they even didn't know a ton, but they just handled it so well. And oh my God, I was so impressed by them.
Yeah. Though are they your good friends?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they were writing for you and like he was just like, "Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I heard from this guy that like she saw the guy." And I'm like, "What is actually happening?" Okay, so at the
Yeah.
cycling
So,
studio,
anyways, yes. And like, so we bring it up and we're talking, and I say to him, like, I need you to decide how you feel about this. Like, if this matters to you, you need to tell me. If it doesn't matter to you, then we need to move past this. Because I remember we kept having these conversations and we're getting closer and closer to our wedding date. And I remember thinking, I still have questions about him. I still have things that I need to figure out about this guy if I'm going to marry him or even go to the altar. And all we're doing is spending time talking about my sexual history. Like, I just remember being like, when are we going to get to things that actually matter in terms of a relationship? And that was just not happening. So I do say that at the cycling studio. And then I think I just have this emotional whiplash and I probably stuck around longer because we weren't tackling this outside of cameras. Like outside of cameras, it was we're in our relationship, we're like living our normal lives. There's even a point that he says to me a couple of days before we break up off camera, like, I don't really give a shit who you slept with. Like, and then we would come back to the same topic. And so I do think that a part of it too is like I was just almost getting different vibes and
mm,
different
cuz again,
approaches from him.
I think maybe again it's the ego like I don't want to look pathetic. I don't want to look like the guy that stayed with the girl who hooked up with someone before going on a show. Like,
Yeah.
what else could it be? But what did you see in Dave that maybe we didn't as the audience that made you, ride for him for such a long time, get engaged to him?
Yeah. I mean, I think like, and you're seeing a little bit more of this character now. Like you saw a little bit more of it at the reunion, and I think a little bit more like in kind of the way he's handled it. I don't think deep down he's a malicious, bad person. I really do think deep down he loves his people. We talked so much about the closeness we had with our friends and family. We talked a lot about what we wanted our futures to look like, and they really aligned in terms of like family values, financial goals. Like we really dove into all of that. And I do think that deep down he is a good person who was trying to do his best. I think like where he was lacking is putting his ego down, the emotional maturity, being able to be fully ready for an actual mature romantic relationship.
And also, he was kind of, I mean, do you know the truth about these situations? Like, one, you were getting the apartment ready for people to come over. Last minute, he tells you they're not coming. As far as you knew until that point, they were coming. Then it's like the
Yeah.
letter with the sister. He said, you were like, he came home with it. Then at the reunion, he says, no, I gave it to her, but I came back with it. Like, what's the truth? Like, do you know the truth? Did the sister see the letter?
So I think the truth is that I'm kind of speculating, but like I think he told his friends not to come that night. I don't think that they like backed out or they
Like,
were ever really planning on it.
could you imagine his friends being like, we will not see this
Right.
woman who dare had hooked up with, like, it just is like
No
crazy.
guy is
Like,
thinking like that. Like,
no guy, like, I mean, maybe the Midwest it's different. I just don't know. But,
no.
like, a dude would be like, who fucking, like, who cares, like, what she did
Yeah.
before? So, our speculation, tell me if I'm wrong, is that he was kind of using the friends and the sister as a scapegoat, saying nobody wants to meet you or hear from you because you're the devil. But like the rumor was happening. So I think maybe he was just didn't want that situation because like he didn't want to be like the loser fiance who is staying with this girl who hooked up with a guy. It's just too crazy. But I can't imagine a world in which his buddies. I could imagine a world in which they were teasing him on
Yes.
messages, which you said it was blowing up, but in which they
Yeah.
wouldn't want to like come hang out, like be on a
Yeah.
TV show, like
And I remember him saying, like, well, they don't want to be the bad guy. And I'm like, I'm the bad guy in this situation. I'm the one that's going to sit here and defend myself for being the like Minneapolis whore and on national television. And like, I'm willing to do that. And so, yeah,
do you
I
feel
think it,
like slut shamed? Like whatever, that word sucks too, but did you feel like shamed in a sense?
yeah, I just like didn't understand why it mattered. Yes. So I did feel a little slut shamed because I'm like, I think it's BS if you're going to sit here and tell me you haven't slept with someone in the past 6 months because you've been having casting conversations with Love is Blind.
And did he say that he wasn't though?
I don't know. I didn't explicitly like Molly. I think was the only one that said when was the last time you had sex, and I don't think
Oh,
he answered it.
by the
But
way,
I didn't
Molly,
care.
yeah, you didn't care because why would you
He
care?
could have slept with someone the night before he left for the pods, and I still wouldn't have been like
Wow.
crucifying him for that.
Wow. Speaking of Molly, I didn't really love her during the pods. I was like, whatever. Did start loving her when she really rallied for you.
Yeah,
And it seemed very genuine how she was talking to Dave. And, mind everybody, she's his ex. She wanted to get engaged to him. Meanwhile, she's sitting there and grilling him about you and saying, like, are you dumb? Like, what are you doing?
yeah.
Did you form like a friendship with her after?
Yes. And honestly, like I remember there's just so much that happens in the lounge anyways. It's not like we weren't friends. I just like started to gather that she was talking to Dave too. And I was like, I just don't want to hear about it. Like
I
she can have
remember.
her connection. I just don't want to like, be part of that conversation with her. But I think when she came in after they had broken up, and I remember the way she was talking to me about like things with her and Dave, she was already kind of protecting me and Dave's relationship more than her own relationship or her own like ego almost. Like she could have told me a lot of the promises that he made or like the things that he said to her that really validated her that would have discredited David and I's relationship. And she purposefully chose not to kind of
That's
protect
nice.
like my heart in a way. And I like looking back, I just thought that that was so admirable. And I'm so, I don't even know if I would be strong enough to handle things the way that she did there. And then we had had conversations about the conversation she had had with Dave at this group hang, but I just had no idea she killed it that much. Like she really did ride
Yeah.
so hard. She was so direct with him. She was so Team Lauren, and that was just, oh, I was so impressed.
Is anybody not Team Lauren from the cast? Like, is
Um,
anybody like
yeah, there
writing?
are some comments in some DMs. Everyone
You
has an opinion.
you did say like on your Instagram that like the block button, like you're easy on the block button these days. What I can't imagine like what kinds of things are said to you that are not nice.
So the first drop of episodes, obviously we're dealing with the Molly thing too. And I say to Dave, like Dave asked me, like, what do you want from this? And I was like, I would want you to pick me and like for us to be together from this. And I was a huge pick me after that. Like I had so many comments, like pick me, desperate. Like I had to put those in my hidden words for a couple weeks because of how crazy people were being about me being such a pick me after the first drop of episodes.
Wait,
That
is a
dwindled
pick
off.
me somebody that says pick me?
I
I
was
didn't know
like,
that's what
there's
it
a
meant.
difference. Like pick me energy is different than the words pick me.
Oh
But
my
I don't
god.
need to like explain that to people on the internet. They can have their own opinion about it.
But that was the only thing. Nobody you didn't feel heat because of the actual situation with the dude or how you handled it with Dave.
I mean, there are definitely people out there that have made comments about me not taking this seriously, sleeping around beforehand. But those are so few and far
And
between
those are
because that's
probably like, you know, mothers that are,
incels
yeah.
too. Yeah.
It's a wild situation. Do you see a world, if you can picture it, that this didn't come up, everything was fine with Dave? Were you planning on saying yes at the altar if that wouldn't have happened?
I mean, I think I was willing, like, and kind of what I had said to date, probably why I stuck around more longer than people would assume is like so much changes in a day, and there is so much growth and so much like furthering along in this relationship that happens in a day and in a week. So I was willing to continue seeing what that growth looked like. And I did feel like there were a lot of times that our relationship was really progressing. I think I probably would have gotten to a point of kind of similar to what my friends and family were saying at the time, like, can you guys just date? I probably would have wanted to see where things continued to go with him. I feel like other little signs would have come up about him maybe not being fully ready for marriage
Mm-hmm.
that I would have picked up on, but I still had so much love for him at the time.
When you left that movie theater or wherever you were talking, was that the last time you saw him before the reunion?
Well, okay, so we had the group hang. We broke up, and then like
Oh,
the
right, the
next
group
night was
hang.
the group hang.
Right, right, where
Yep.
he asked if he could hug you.
Yeah.
Yeah, was that
Yeah.
awkward? You handled it really well.
At that point, I remember going into that night, like I think I had mourned the ending of our breakup like throughout that past week. And so by the time he had kind of put the nail in the coffin there, I was like so done. And I remember the next night, producers were like, "Do you want to have a conversation with him? Like, do you have anything you want to say?" And I was like, "No, I don't need closure. I don't need clarity. He's made his decision. I feel good about it." And so there really wasn't anything that I like needed to say to him. So when he
Yeah.
came up to me, it was more of like, "What are you what do you have to say?" Or
And
like,
what did it
"Where
feel
is your head
like?
at?"
What did it feel like his intentions were? I mean, what does he have to say at this point?
I mean, I don't know. I remember him making the comment about like it kind of felt like he started to take a little ounce of accountability for his actions in this.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I get what you're saying.
And I remember thinking, like, I just don't know if you fully believe that. And if you fully believe that, you would
Like
call me the
he
next day.
kind of said, I wish it didn't get to me the way that it did, but it had. But almost like he can't control it. Like, I wish I, yeah, like, and you said about not believing him a couple times where he spoke about his love for you. And I like that you know, immediately said back, like, I don't know if I believe that because it seemed like your stance was if you like loved me or had this love for me, like you would act differently, you would defend me, you would this, you would that. Do you think that he loved you?
I do think that there was love there. I do. Like, I think that that would be hard for, yeah, I could tell that he was genuinely struggling with how to tackle all of this information and
Yeah,
all of this news. I don't think he loved me enough to
right,
like put me above the ego or
right.
above like how difficult it was at the time. There was love there, just not enough to actually like work through a relationship.
Okay, so you saw him at the group hang, and then from there until the reunion, did you encounter each other? Because from what you guys said at the reunion, Minneapolis is tiny,
Yeah,
or you guys go out a lot to bars.
yeah. So I had seen him, like we had run into each other, but like it was never like we never like met up to like he
Mm,
never reached out to be like, let's talk
mm,
or like I have some things I want to say. I have some clarity. Like
mm.
he never reached out in that regard.
Yeah, and but you run into the other cast all the time.
Yeah. And I'm close with like a small group of us. Like there's like six or seven of us that hang out a lot. And then of course there's like six bars in downtown Minneapolis. So we also see each other a lot in that
You
way.
see each other a lot. So, okay, give us some tea about what's happening right now. I mean, from the season, we really only have Daniel and Taylor, right?
Yeah.
There are winners.
Yeah.
Is it rumors right now about Joey and Sarah, which like are neither here nor there? Do you know anything?
That's so not my, there's a lot of stories being told right now. And I think if anything, I would just, things are not as black and white as I think the internet, shockingly,
Mm-hmm.
thinks that they are. There's a lot of layers to that, but I don't want to speak on
Is
anyone's
is
behalf.
Sarah one of the people that you're close with?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Copy that. So who else? You said it was six. So you, Sarah,
Yeah. Me,
not
Sarah, and Taylor.
Madison, Taylor.
Yeah. Me, Sarah, Taylor, and okay, Scott, Joey, Daniel, and Tom, which you didn't see Tom and Scott a ton in that, but
Mm,
we're like, and I am really close with Molly too. I don't see her, I mean, as much, but I'm close with her too.
What did you think about Meg and Mason having that cheesy little reveal moment and trying to make it work?
I remember they showed us that at the like group hang thing, and I
Uh,
just thought I was like, this is a cool way to almost like do this experiment in your own terms. Like it
yeah.
was, of course, they had already seen each other on Instagram and like texted a little bit, but I don't know. I thought that that was so fresh, and I remember being like, this is a cool new approach to things, and they have a such a good friendship now. So yeah, they're really fresh.
What do you think about people saying about this season that it's boring or saying about this season that Minneapolis seems like the worst place to date?
It is the worst place to date. I co-sign on that. I kind of agree. Like, it's not, it is a little bit boring. I was thinking about this too. Like, as a viewer and a fan of Love is Blind, one of my favorite parts of watching it is like the first group hang in the getaways when you
Mm,
meet people who've had like previous connections and you're trying to like feel out people's
right.
vibes and compare them. And like, we just didn't have that. Like,
You
Molly
didn't.
wasn't on the Honduras trip, or like, I'm trying to
Right.
like B Dot wasn't on the Honduras trip with like Devin and Virginia. So we just like didn't have that kind of
Right.
dynamic. And so that makes it a little like less
Right.
exciting.
That moment where you're like, oh, she's hot, or like you're
Yeah.
jealous because they're this, or you're right. I mean, Dave tried. He tried to talk about the sex. He tried to get the sex. Can't, Dave
That is
tried, okay?
interesting. Like,
He did try. Okay, I get what you're saying. So where are you now at with the dating?
so I've dated a little bit in the last year from like Hinge, or so I kind of talked about this in another podcast too, but I did kind of date Scott a little bit, like 6 months after Dave and I broke up. And that was it was definitely a conversation. Like he had reached out. He was someone that I had connected with in the pods. And honestly, when they bring people onto this, we take all of these compatibility tests with the goal being there are multiple people that you're compatible with in the pods. It's not like you just show up and there's one person that is there for you and hopefully you
Right.
find them. And so I remember at the time being like, okay, I owe it to myself to also explore this connection, and same with him. And we talked for a little bit. We kind of were like, okay, is this something that we even want to bring to the group or to Dave and like have this conversation? We kind of explored it a little bit on our own first and then decided to bring it to him. It wasn't like the most fun thing to deal with in terms of because he and Dave were our friends. And there were a couple of group hangs that we were all together. But I mean, at the end of the day, Scott and I just ended up being very good friends. And
Wait, so
he's
you
like still
guys
a good
came to
friend.
Dave and told him? How did he take it?
So Scott reached out to Dave, and Dave, I think, was like, I think said to Scott, like, it's, all good. Like, you guys are great. But then I think there were some like other comments to other people about how it might have been too soon for me, which at the time I was like, we broke up 6 months ago, and it's not like you and I have been chatting or
Yeah.
anything. So I didn't feel like there was anything wrong with
I
that.
wonder how his bros and sister feel about that though. But
I don't
Scott,
talk to them, so who knows?
so Scott wasn't the one, but you tried. You
But
wanted
we
to
tried.
see it out. But you're still able to hang out with him in like group settings, and it's not weird.
Yeah, like we honestly got like closer friends from that, and I just have like
Which is a
nothing.
Midwestern thing apparently too. Meg and
Yeah.
Mason, like you guys are just so nice and polite or something. I don't know that you stay
Don't
friends.
like beefing with people. Like even now with everything with Dave, like yes, I hated how he handled things a year ago, but like I'm not with him.
And
Like I
also,
don't
you're
need
not
to.
talking shit. Like you genuinely throughout this podcast, even like, you could have been harsher, and you're a class act, and you've chosen not to. Did you? Speaking of the cringy guy you hooked up with doing TikToks, there is another cringy guy doing TikToks from your season, Ben. Lots of green screens, receipts. Can you tell us anything about how the group is responding to it? Are people icked out? Like what's the vibe around town?
So the thing that I don't love specifically about that is that we just had this whole weekend in Austin together, the South by Southwest, where we like watched the reunion and they flew out everyone from the cast. And so we were together a lot throughout this weekend. And at that point, Ben had heard these like rumbling rumors of Joey and Sarah, and he talked to Joey about it. And they're like, good. And they're like, we're buds. Like, it's fine. Like, no hard feelings if there's anything there. Like really nothing but good vibes between Joey and Ben. And then we come back and a few days later, Ben is making these TikToks like exposing Sarah and like giving her shade about it. And I just like that's where I just don't understand the disconnect. Like if you're cool with it, but then you need to like bring it online to put Sarah down for your own benefit, like that's where I'm struggling with. I think that's where some other people on the cast are struggling with too.
Yeah.
Everyone's allowed to work through their own shit and like have feelings about the way that their ex treated them, but then to like bring it directly to social media for the purpose of just like their own personal gain,
Yeah.
that's where I just don't
Wait,
buy it.
Lauren, remind me which one from the cast consulted with Jimmy about what to say at the reunion?
Ben,
Oh, Ben.
yeah.
Oh my Jesus. Like you think it went so well for him, you want pointers? No, that was insane. I mean,
Yeah,
that's when I guess like the true colors slash, bachelor style real intentions of people kind of come through when you're like, when they're so concerned about the TV aspect of it.
totally. They're like at it. And I that is so something that I'm kind of seeing now is the way people are moving on social media. It's just interesting. I'm like gathering a lot of new information, I feel like.
Well, keeping you and moving the way you do because it's perfect.
Thank you.
And you're gonna find the one that doesn't make you tear up every conversation.
God, I hope so. I can't do that again.
Well, thank you for coming on, Lauren. It was so good to meet you.
Yeah, thank you. This was so fun.